In 2014, I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy or VSG weight loss surgery. The reason why I had this surgery was because I was at the end of my rope. I was at rock bottom. I was miserable with the way that I felt. I was miserable with the way that I looked, and I thought I was going to die. I had been obese all my life, all childhood, early adulthood. I had a child in my early 30s, and I felt that I wasn't going to see him grow up. And that really saddened me. I remember rocking him to sleep at night, and tears would be streaming down my face because I felt that I was going to die. I wouldn't get to see my child grow up, and I didn't know what to do about it. Back then, weight loss surgery had such a stigma associated with it, and it was always, what will people think? What will people think if I had weight loss surgery? So it wasn't even an option for me. And so I was just beside myself because dieting and exercising wasn't working, and I didn't know what to do. The catalyst that really drove me to weight loss surgery was a situation that happened when I was at work one day. It was after lunch and I was feeling horrible. And so I decided to drive down to the urgent care. It was less than a quarter mile from the office. So I drove down to the urgent care and my blood pressure was high. And the doctor said to me, if you don't lose 10% of your body weight by the next time I see you, I'm gonna put you on blood pressure pills. And that was an absolute no-go for me. My mom has been on blood pressure pills since her early 30s. She was on one pill, it had side effects. They put her on a second pill, so now she's taking 2 blood pressure pills, and she's taken them for most of her life. And so I knew that I did not want that to be my story, and that is just kind of where I drew the line. Even though there was this stigma associated with weight loss surgery, even though I was concerned about what people would think if I had weight loss surgery, I decided right then and there it didn't matter. I connected with the local county hospital who had a bariatric surgery center and went in and decided to find out just what my options were for weight loss surgery. So the center performed 3 surgeries. They performed lap band, which is placing a ring around your stomach and you can tighten it and loosen it. It creates a restriction. I knew I didn't want anything foreign in my body, so that was out automatically. They had the sleeve surgery, which is where they basically cut out half of your stomach, which means that you can eat less food. And then they did the bypass, which is where they cut out a portion of your stomach, but then they also reroute some of your insides so that your food reroutes differently through your body. I had already done some preliminary research by the time I had gone to the center, and I was leaning more towards the sleeve, but I kind of wanted to see what the surgeon thought, what the best procedure would be for me. So I went in to just find out what the options were and to get a recommendation from the surgeon. One of the reasons why I decided to go with the sleeve is that there was no dumping associated with it. And what dumping is where you can have an episode of vomiting and diarrhea at the same time if you're eating things that you shouldn't be eating as a gastric bypass patient. And that just the visual of that scared me. That wasn't associated with sleeve, but it was certainly associated with bypass at that time. And I was just deathly afraid of dumping syndrome. The next thing I considered when having sleeve over bypass was the ability to control my weight. I didn't want to lose too much weight. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to the whole reason why I was having the surgery to begin with. But every bypass patient that I knew looked like they had surgery to lose weight. They looked very thin, and I didn't want that look. The statistic for VSG was that you would keep off about 60% of your excess weight. So if you had 100 pounds to lose, you might lose 100 pounds, but you were almost guaranteed to regain 40 of them. So you would keep off about 60 pounds. And I was perfectly okay with that. Help me with the 60 pounds and I will work hard with diet and exercise and whatever else I need to do to get the other 40 off. I wanted to be able to control my weight loss, and I wanted to be able to control how I look. And so that was another reason why I went with the sleeve surgery over bypass. The other thing I considered when I was deciding which surgery to go with was what were my options post-surgery. So with the sleeve, they only cut out a portion of your stomach. There was no rerouting of your internal organs. And so if something went wrong with the sleeve or it didn't work, I always had the option to do a revision to bypass. If I had bypass and something went wrong, there were no other options. And so the simple fact that there was a plan B should plan A not go right was the final thing that made me decide to go with the sleeve over bypass surgery. So I did have to complete a 2-week liquid diet before the surgery, and in August of 2014, I had the VSG surgery. I went on to lose about 100 pounds. So I went from 265 was my highest pre-op and 163 was my lowest. I did hit a plateau at about 190 pounds and I was at the point of regain actually. And so I decided to ramp up what I was doing a little bit for exercise in order to combat the plateau and the regain. And I always joke that I began running half marathons out of sheer laziness, but it's kind of what happened. At that point, I was doing walking on the treadmill as my form of exercise. And I was doing so much walking that at some point, a slow jog was easier to do than a fast walk. So I started to slow jog. And then when I was slow jogging, I got a little faster and a little faster at it. I ran into this group of women who were running together. They were running races together, training together. And I decided to join them. I was like, I'll have company. I don't have to run alone. You know, I can run races with them, have a great time. And so that's what I did. They were training for 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons. And so I went out and ran with them and trained with them and ran races with them. One of my running buddies said, hey, you should run the half marathon with us in February. This was February 2016. And I said, that's 13.1 miles. I don't want to run 3 miles. I don't want to run 6 miles. And now you're asking me to run 13.1 miles. And she was like, no, you can do it. Just train for it and you can absolutely do it. They were all training for the half marathon and I didn't want to miss out. You know, we do a lot of things because of fear of missing out, right? Or from FOMO. And so I decided to train for the half marathon. And in February of 2016, I ran my first half marathon, the Rock and Roll New Orleans Marathon, 13.1 miles through the city of New Orleans. And on that date, I was 163 pounds. It was my lowest post-surgery weight at that time. I went on to run 13 half marathons total in 2016. In early 2017, I discovered that I was pregnant. In late 2017, I had my daughter. We suffered infant loss, and the grief and the stress and the depression and everything else that came along with that meant that I regained most of the weight that I had lost. My highest weight when I was pregnant was 235. I got back down to about 200-ish post-pregnancy. But my weight returned back to about 225 was my highest post-pregnancy weight. In 2023, I decided to take control of my health again, and I connected with the local bariatric center here in the new state where I live. And the reason why I connected with them was because I was having horrible acid reflux. And if you know anything about the sleeve, that is one of the things that they tell you can go wrong with the sleeve is that it may cause acid reflux. I had been suffering from acid reflux for about 2 years after the surgery, and I had never experienced acid reflux before. And it was horrible and it was daily. And I didn't go back to the surgical center to have it checked out because one of the ways that they fix acid reflux in sleeve patients is to do a revision to bypass. And I absolutely did not want to have another surgery. And so I kind of suffered with this acid reflux for years. But again, I decided to take control of my health. I decided to go in and face it. I went into the surgical center and said, I'm dealing with this acid reflux. It's horrible. I do not want to have a revision. What do I do? And the surgeon just kind of let me have it. She said, well, if you lost weight, then the acid reflux would resolve itself. She said, you're not losing weight because you're eating foods that circumvent your sleeve. Your sleeve is not broken. You need to eat what you're supposed to eat. You need to lose the weight and your acid reflux will resolve. The next day, May 24th, 2023, I started the 75 Hard Challenge. In August of 2023, I completed the 75 Hard Challenge and I started running. I started to train for a 10K race. I pulled out 10K race plan and just started to train for that race. And by October, I ran my first 10K. 20 days later in November, I ran my second 10K. Today, early January, I am currently at 156 pounds. And so right now I am at my lowest adult weight and I am at my lowest post-op weight. So the surgeon was absolutely right. Once I got back to doing what I was supposed to do with eating, my acid reflux resolved itself. I do not suffer from acid reflux the way that I did prior to cleaning up my diet. And I can now pinpoint the foods that will trigger it. And it all came down to sugar. I can eat a banana, and a banana is not even processed sugar. It's natural sugar, but it is full of sugar. I know that if I eat a banana, I'm probably gonna have an episode of acid reflux. But if I am not eating sugar, then I have no issues with acid reflux anymore. When I was not doing what I was supposed to do and I was eating and eating, I was eating a lot of sugar, and when you eat a lot of sugar, you just crave more sugar. And that was creating inflammation in my body. It was causing the acid reflux. And then I would eat more to try to soothe the acid reflux, not knowing that I am making the problem worse. Now I understand the connection between the sleeve surgery and the diet that you're supposed to follow in order to maintain the results of the surgery. Some of the regrets that I have, one is not keeping up with the vitamin regimen. They tell you that you will be on a lifetime of vitamins once you have weight loss surgery. Your body doesn't absorb nutrients from foods the way that it used to prior to weight loss surgery, and so you're supposed to take multivitamins every day. I did well for the first year or so, and then I completely fell off. I found myself last year severely anemic. I ended up having to have 2 iron infusions, and I just really wish that I had kept up with the vitamin regimen like they said. Another thing that I've suffered is hair thinning. They also tell you you need to take multivitamins and supplements in order to maintain your hair, because your hair will start to thin or you'll start to lose it. And back then I wasn't experiencing that. So I kind of went to that advice, and now my hair is thinning. And so I really wish I would have stuck to keeping up with the multivitamins the way that I should have, because now I'm experiencing these things that they said could potentially happen if you don't. Another regret that I have is not keeping up with the diet. Obviously, I suffered with acid reflux unnecessarily for years, simply because I started to reintroduce foods into my diet that I shouldn't have. Those were not the foods that I should have been eating. I was eating the slider foods, the foods that don't keep you full, and the foods that were full of sugar. And those are not the foods that I need now that I have this sleeve. I really regret not keeping up with the diet. It did cause the regain. It did cause the acid reflux. And it was really hard for me when I did experience the regain, because I was at rock bottom. I did this very barbaric thing in my mind in order to lose weight. And here I am right back to where I started. It was very, very hard for me, and I was very hard on myself because of the regain. So I just really wish that I would have stuck to the diet, because once I went back and cleaned up my diet, then here I am at the lowest weight I've been in my adult life. My tool still works, and that's what the surgeon was trying to tell me. Clean up your diet, get back to doing what you're supposed to do. The tool still works, it always has. But when you're circumventing your tool, then of course it's not gonna work. Of course you're not gonna see those results. Get back to doing what you're supposed to do and you will see the results, and that is certainly what happened. Another regret that I have is the shame that I felt because of the surgery. When I had weight loss surgery back then, people were having weight loss surgery. It was the option of last resort. You had to have at least 100 pounds to lose. It had to be medically necessary. And there was a shame associated with it. So if you lost weight with weight loss surgery, then people thought you cheated. That, you lost weight with weight loss surgery. And so I didn't tell anyone. My immediate family knew that I had weight loss surgery. I would tell extended family if they asked about it. But beyond that, I didn't talk about it. People saw me running, and I think they equated my running with my weight loss, and I just didn't tell them any different. Now, running did help me with my weight loss, but I spent the first 60, 70-ish pounds down walking, and I spent the remaining 30-ish pounds running, and that's how I broke my plateau and got down to about 163 the first time, and now that's how I'm at 156 now, is that running. But running was not the catalyst for the initial weight loss. And I never lied about it. If people asked me and I trusted them, I would tell them about it, but I really didn't talk about it. The first time I really said out loud that I had had weight loss surgery was when I put it in my IG profile last year. So I really regret how I felt about the surgery and how I kind of beat myself up over the need to have the surgery in order to lose weight. And I really had to reconcile that with, you didn't do this for vanity reasons. You did this to save your life. You were at rock bottom. You thought you were gonna die. You needed the surgery. You had it. And I look at it as it was a tool to save my life. I know a lot of people say that they regret not having the surgery sooner. And I won't say that I regret not having the surgery sooner. I don't know that I would have been in a position to have the surgery any sooner than I did. At that time, the sleeve was relatively new. People were having it, but back then, people were having the bypass surgery more often. And so I don't know that I would have even been in a position earlier than that to even have had the sleeve surgery. It was just so new. And I was even, afraid to have the sleeve surgery when I did because of how new it was, but I trusted my surgeon. My surgeon was great, very personable, and he made me feel like I could trust him that this would be okay. So I don't know that I would have had it any sooner than I actually did. Again, I do feel bad about the way I felt about having surgery, but I don't know that I would have done it any sooner. I think I did it right on time when I was supposed to have it, and for that reason, everything just kind of fell into place. I have no regrets with actually having the surgery. The complications that I experienced aren't really complications of the surgery in my eyes. The acid reflux was of my own doing because I wasn't following the diet that I was supposed to be following. The vitamin deficiency, the thinning of the hair were of my own doing because I didn't follow the vitamin regimen that I was supposed to be following. So I don't really have any regrets in that regards because the tool works. The tool actually works. It still works today. I'm 9+ years out and I am proof that it still works. As long as you follow and do what you're supposed to do, the tool itself works, and I didn't have any complications related to the surgery itself or post-surgery as long as I followed what I was supposed to do. Now, I will say that there are some challenges with having weight loss surgery, and the folks who are 2, 3, 4 years out don't know what those challenges are, so you don't hear those folks talk about those challenges. But get someone who's 9, 10, 12 years out from weight loss surgery, and we can absolutely tell you that there are some challenges with having weight loss surgery, some long-term challenges with having weight loss surgery. You are making a lifetime commitment, and it's a really personal decision. And that's another reason why I really didn't share my story until now, is that it was a really personal decision. And so when people ask me about it, I'll give them the information, but I never tell them to have the surgery. I never tell them not to have the surgery. It is something very personal. You're making a lifetime commitment to this. Once they go in and cut out half your stomach, there's no turning back from that. Once they go in and reroute your inside so that your food routes a different way, there is no turning back from that. What works for me may not work for you, so I always encourage folks, do your own research, make the best decision for you. Thank you so much for watching. If this information has been helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more information about health, weight loss, and my fitness journey. See you in the next video.